Yo, I just got some information myself, man, because it was strange to me that every month he's going up for a bail hearing. And I know that that seems strange to a lot of people.
In the meantime, let's go back to New York City. Want to get some updates on the case that is unfolding there regarding Sean.
Here's the truth no one's talking about. When the FBI and other agencies launched a massive operation inside Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, it wasn't just about routine safety checks. This wasn't some casual walkthrough with boards and flashlights. No, this was a full-blown spectacle, a coordinated sweep that brought 9 units, tactical teams, and an overwhelming presence of federal agents into what's already been deemed one of the most miserable detention centers in the United States. And let's be real, this sent crackdown happening in the very same facility where Diddy Combs is being held. It's no coincidence? But what exactly were they looking for? And how does it connect to the ongoing circus surrounding one of the most controversial figures in entertainment history?
Yesterday, on Monday, Diddy celebrated his 55th birthday, but this year was a lot different. It was no Diddy parties. It was none of that. None of that stuff. Well, happily, so I guess right now. But anyway, so this is his first birthday.
Let's start with the operation itself, which felt less like a prison check and more like the kind of raid you see in blockbuster action movies. Descriptions from insiders paint a dramatic scene, agents moving information, dogs sniffing every corner, and cells being flipped upside down, the official lying from authorities was of course vague, no active threat, and part of routine procedures. But anyone paying attention knows there's more to the story. Reports suggest that this wasn't just about enforcing prison rules or cracking down on contraband. It was about sending a clear message, whether that message was meant for Diddy or the broader public remains open to interpretation. But the timing is impossible to ignore. With Diddy's legal troubles dominating headlines and his name tied to a slew of allegations, the decision to storm the very facility housing him raises a lot of questions.
People got a lot of money and they got lawyers that can come up with different reasons and different information and present it to the courts that they are able to get how many bail hearings, as long as you got different information to present to the court, different evidence.
Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Metropolitan Detention Center, let's set the scene. This isn't your average jail. It's a place that's been described as hell on earth. And not without reason. Overcrowded cells, rampant safety issues, and a crumbling infrastructure make it a nightmare for anyone unlucky enough to land there. The facility is notorious for its lack of basic amenities. Think about that for a second. This is a place where inmates are left to freeze during the winter because of power outages, where rats outnumber guards, and where medical care is more rumor than a reality. It's no wonder some judges have outright refused to send defendants there, citing its barbaric conditions. And yet this is where Diddy, a man accustomed to private jets and multi-million-dollar mansions, finds himself. The irony is almost poetic.
So you got to realize he got a lot of money. He still got a lot of money because he's paying these high-profile lawyers to take this case. So in having them to take this case, they're able to construct a lot of information together to making sure that when they go to the court.
But back to the raid. Why now? Why this level of force? And what could they possibly have hoped to find? Some speculate that the operation was tied to Diddy's high-profile case, especially given the accusations of witness tampering and other behind-the-scenes maneuvering. After all, this isn't just any inmate. We're talking about Diddy's name alone carries enough weight to command attention, and his alleged actions, from paying off witnesses to using other inmates' phone accounts, have only added fuel to the fire. Could the raid have been a response to these allegations, or was it simply a way for the authorities to flex their muscles and remind everyone, including Diddy, who's really in charge? And let's not forget the rumors that have been swirling about what's been happening behind those prison walls. Unconfirmed reports suggest that contraband, including sensitive documents and other restricted items, may have been found during the sweep. While authorities remain tight-lipped about the specifics, the sheer scale of the operation hints at something big. Some insiders have even speculated that the raid was meant to uncover evidence that could strengthen the government's case against Diddy. Whether that's true or not, One thing is clear, this wasn't just about maintaining order, it was about control.
A whole forestry of next week, because what they did was they held off whatever the procedures was going to go down today. The judge say he going to revisit this next week. So I guess, I don't know if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll find out what's going on, but it's going to be something that I think it may shock the world.
What makes the situation even more fascinating is the stark contrast between Diddy's current reality and the life he once led. This is a man who built an empire on glit and glamour, who threw legendary parties that attracted Hollywood's elite, and who for decades seemed untouchable, but now he's just another inmate in a facility that doesn't care about fame or fortune. And while some might argue that he's getting a taste of his own medicine, others see it as a tri-magic fall from grace. Either way, his presence at MDC Brooklyn has put an even brighter spotlight on an already infamous institution for years. MDC Brooklyn has been a symbol of everything wrong with the federal prison system. It's a place where violence is a daily occurrence, where inmates are left to fend for themselves in overcrowded conditions, and where basic human rights are routinely ignored. And yet it continues to operate, housing some of the most high-profile figures in recent history, from Ghislaine Maxwell to R. Kelly, to R. Kelly to R. Kelly to now Diddy. The facility has become something of a cultural touchpoint, a grimmer reminder of what happens when power and privilege collide with the justice system.
Diddy is a multi-millionaire. He's a multi-millionaire. If he wins this case against them, look at all the business that he lost. Look what they made him look like in the public eye. He could bankrupt. he could bankrupt the government.
But here's the thing. While Diddy's case has brought renewed attention to MDC Brooklyn, the issues at the facility go far beyond one man. Reports of systemic neglect, corruption, and abuse have plagued the jail for years, and the recent raid only underscores how deeply those problems run. Take, for example, the allegations of staff involvement and smuggling contraband. While the FBI has yet to confirm whether this played a role in the operation, it wouldn't be the first time MDC Brooklyn has faced such accusations. In fact, several staff members have been arrested in recent years for everything from accepting bribes to facilitating illegal activities. It's a pattern that speaks to a much larger issue within the Bureau of Prisons, a culture of complacency and corruption that allows these problems to fester.
They know they already won their case. He's gonna have to plead guilty to something. Maybe the guns. It may be the sex trafficking. It may be some stuff they found in the tax evasions. It may be charges that we don't even know about. But he's gonna have to plead guilty to something which get them off the hook.
And then there's the matter of the other inmates, many of whom are far less high profile than Diddy, but no less affected by the conditions at MDC Brooklyn. For them, the raid was just another reminder of the power dynamics at play. While Diddy's case may have drawn the cameras and the headlines, the reality is that life at MDC Brooklyn is just as brutal for the nameless, faceless individuals who make up the majority of its population. These are people who don't have million-dollar legal teams or the support of a global fan base. For them, the raid was less about justice and more about survival.
They know they already won their case. He's gonna have to plead guilty to something. Maybe the guns. It may be the sex trafficking. It may be some stuff they found in the tax evasions. It may be charges that we don't even know about. But he's gonna have to plead guilty to something which get them off the hook.
So where does this leave Diddy for now? He remains in custody, awaiting the next chapter in what has already been a roller coaster of a legal battle. His team continues to push for bail, arguing that the conditions at MDC Brooklyn are not only inhumane, but also detrimental to his ability to prepare for trial. And while the judge overseeing his case has so far been unmoved by these arguments, the ongoing scrutiny of the facility may yet work in Diddy's favor. After all, it's one thing to deny bail based on the severity of the charges. It's another to do so knowing the conditions the defendant will face while in custody.
Say that again. Say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
Yes.
the shopping thing is...
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of.
As for the FBI and the other agencies involved in the raid, their work is far from over. The operation may have been a show of force, but it also raises questions about what comes next. Will there be more raids, more investigations? And what, if anything, will change at DC Brooklyn? As a result, for now, the answers remain unclear. But one thing is certain: the eyes of the world are watching, and the stakes have never been higher.
It sounds like there was probably a lot of hidden cameras as well. Is that what is being talked about?
Yes, this was actually in his Atlanta home, at
Okay.
a home he had in Atlanta at one point. And it does seem that the person isn't like looking into the video, so to me, doesn't seem like that person knows they're being videotaped. It doesn't seem like they're active participant in the videotaping.
The story of Sean Diddy Combs and his time at MDC Brooklyn is more than just a tale of one man's fall from grace. It's a window into a system that is broken at every level, from the corruption within its walls to the broader societal forces that allow such conditions to persist. And while the headlines may focus on the drama and the spectacle, the real story lies in the shadows. The lies affected, the voices silenced, and the questions left unanswered.
That fact in of itself is a big deal, because when you're talking about going back in time and talking about these allegations from other alleged victims, there's not a lot of police reports, but you guys actually have one. And is that going to be revealed? Are we going to be able to see it?
Yes, as soon as I file my lawsuit in civil court, I will be attaching
As the narrative continues to unfold, one can't help but wonder, is this the beginning of the end for Diddy? Or will he find a way to reclaim his place at the top? And more importantly, what does this case say about the state of justice in America today? These are the questions that will define the next chapter of this saga. And the answers will undoubtedly shape the future of not just Diddy, but everyone caught up in the web of power, privilege, and accountability. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over the twists and turns, and Diddy's case just keep coming, don't they? Every new development seems to add a fresh layer of intrigue, almost like Netflix drama unfolding in real life. But here's the kicker. While Diddy sits in the chaos of the Metropolitan Detention Center, his legal team is pulling out all the stops to secure his release. And let us tell you, this isn't just your run-of-the-mill bail request. This is a high-stakes chess game with millions on the line, and every move counts. So what exactly is Diddy's defense team cooking up to get him out of that Brooklyn hellhole? And why are these efforts sparking even more controversy? Let's dive into the core of Diddy's latest strategy. His bid for bail. His lawyers have proposed what's been described as one of the most restrictive bail packages ever seen. Pictured this: Diddy confined to a 3-bedroom apartment on Manhattan's Upper East Side, with 24/7 private security monitoring every move he makes. No unapproved visitors, no internet access, limited phone privileges, and constant check-ins with federal authorities. Essentially, it's a life under a microscope, designed to convince the court that there's absolutely no risk of him breaking the rules. His legal team even offered to pay for all the security measures themselves, reportedly costing upward of tens of millions. And yet, despite all these promises, the judge still said no. So what's really going on behind the scenes?
Is everybody familiar with the old Houdini? So what Diddy's lawyers are trying to do is pull a Houdini. They're trying to say that the evidence that they have is different. Well, it's not different. The video that the entire world has seen is not going to go away. The fact that he had parties that were freak-offs is not going away. So it's just a question of whether...
Well, according to prosecutors, it all boils down to trust, or rather the lack of it. They've painted a picture of Diddy as someone who's willing to bend the rules even from behind bars. and there's plenty of ammunition for their argument. Take, for example, the allegations that Diddy has been using other inmates' phone accounts to make unauthorized calls, or the handwritten notes allegedly found in his cell during a recent search where he reportedly instructed a family member to dig up dirt on accusers. If true, these actions don't exactly scream model veiny. Prosecutors have argued that Diddy's ability to manipulate situations from within a federal facility is proof that he can't be trusted to follow the strict conditions of house arrest. And honestly, it's hard to argue with that logic when you consider the pattern of behavior they've laid out.
And then if he does this new, quote, robust bail package, you can avoid and evade. And he is very connected with people that can help him avoid and evade. I'm not saying he will, but I would be surprised if the court grants him a bond. When the federal government wants you detained, you are normally detained. And here it was a very far-reaching situation that he was involved.
Now this is where things get even murkier. D's former bodyguard, Gan Deal, has come forward with some explosive claims about his former boss. According to Deal, Diddy is not only capable of outsmarting the system, but has the resources to disappear completely if given the chance, Deal reportedly told one interviewer. Let's be real, D's got connections all over the world. If he wanted to vanish, he could. Private jets, offshore accounts, you name it, he got options. Most people don't. Whether or not these claims hold water, they've certainly added fuel to the fire and given prosecutors even more reason to push back against his release. And let's not forget the broader context here. Diddy isn't just fighting for his freedom, he's fighting for his legacy. His name has been synonymous with success in the entertainment industry for decades, but the allegations against him have cast a long shadow over everything he's built. The accusations of intimidation, coercion, and misconduct have sent shockwaves to the industry, and the court of public opinion hasn't been kind. With every new headline, the walls seem to close in tighter, making it all the more critical for his legal team to secure some sort of win, starting with bail. But so far the courts aren't budging, and the stakes couldn't be higher. So I got to pee you on the spot, right? Do you believe he get bail next week or no? I think that if the lawyers could come up with a good enough agreement, got to realize, why is this the third? Judge, we already know this is the third bail hearing. What's particularly interesting is how Diddy's lawyers are using the conditions at MDC Brooklyn as part of their argument for his release. They've described the facility as inhumane and dangerous, highlighting everything from overcrowding to safety concerns. And honestly, they're not wrong. The detention center has been plagued by issues for years, with numerous reports of violence, neglect, and unsanitary conditions. It's not exactly the kind of place where anyone, let alone a high-profile figure like Diddy, would want to be. His lawyers have argued that these conditions are preventing him from preparing his defense effectively, which is a valid point. But here's the thing: while these arguments might hold weight in a different case, the severity of the charges against Diddy makes it a tough sell. Judges are more likely to prioritize public safety over the comfort of the accused, especially when the allegations involve patterns of predatory behavior.